The Bureau Boys is an improvised detective serial. Every Monday morning, the Bureau Boys solve crimes based on clues sent in by their informants.
That's you! Go to thebureauboys.com to submit your clues, informant.
Thanks to informant Jeremy for this week's clue. Magnet.
When we last left the Bureau Boys, they were sitting cross-legged, staring into each other's swirling eyeballs, high on mushrooms that they had just picked from outside the Jack-in-the-Box. And surrounding them, a dark presence, a dark force, encroaching, closing in. The last words we heard from Detective Riley were to fly.
And so the Bureau Boys did fly. They flew up into the clouds, through a rainbow-colored sky. Pink elephants and green dragons swirled around the Bureau Boys as they held hands, still cross-legged but flying through the air.
They emerged through a puffy cloud, upon which stood giant gumdrops and jelly beans. Their bodies slowed to a sit up atop a marshmallow pillow.
Detective Riley's normally hemp-laden clothing has suddenly become a gleaming, glistening white robe. And Detective Riley's normally unkempt beard has grown longer and longer and longer.
But still unkempt, not cleaned up whatsoever.
Even more unkempt, some would say.
And Detective Potter, his normal suit turned to a monk's robe, also white with shades of yellow, indicating his subservience to Detective Riley.
The tops of both Bureau Boys' heads are completely bald, and I don't recall them being bald before they took those mushrooms.
Detective Potter and Detective Riley sit still for a moment, eyes no longer swirling. Instead, their lids have closed, and slowly, gently, Detective Riley and Detective Potter open their eyes at the same time.
Just to be clear, anything that Detective Potter and Detective Riley say to each other is only being said through their minds, for their lips are not moving. They utter no words. They're just transfixed by each other's visages.
Detective Potter, are you there?
Detective Riley, I'm here, over.
Detective Potter, this is your God King speaking. Detective Riley, over.
God King, Detective Riley, do you prefer God King Riley? God Detective King Riley? What do you prefer?
I prefer God Riley King Detective.
That's gonna be hard to remember.
Just stick with my earthly name.
Okay, anything you say. God Riley Detective King.
I said you can just stick with the earthly name. Just go with Detective Riley. It's good enough.
I thought that was a test. Did I pass, my king?
It's very strange to be in this place of superiority over you. I'm not used to this type of power. Usually I'm being derided at this moment. So it's just give me a second. Take it all in.
In this moment, Detective Riley, I just want to say I'm so sorry. I feel like what's happened in the past has happened and it's behind us. And part of that wasn't me, Detective Riley. Part of that was just the stress of the case and maybe the stress of this Jack-in-the-Box and whatever dark magic's happening around it.
All I know is, Detective Potter, my son, is that we're safe here.
Do you think we are, Detective Riley? The last thing I remember before getting lost in your eyes was some sort of shadow spirits maybe closing in on us?
Some dark forces are dwelling around our bodies back down there on Earth. You can see them if you look over the candy cane ledge here.
Detective Potter peers over the candy cane ledge and looks down at the corporeal bodies of Detective Riley and Detective Potter. Yes, there are spirits starting to close in on them, but both bodies stand up and start walking away from the Jack-in-the-Box, walking across the desert, heading back towards Hollywood proper. Detective Riley, do you think our corporeal bodies will be okay wandering through the desert?
Up here, I know we're safe. I know because there's some strange magic protecting us right now, Detective Potter. A magic that I didn't know existed or that I could tap into like I am now.
As the Bureau Boys' auras float above their corporeal bodies, we see their corporeal bodies ninja kicking, fighting their way through the spirits that have enclosed them. The Bureau Boys are heroically annihilating the spirits that have closed in on them, fighting their way through, almost more powerful than we've ever seen them before.
I feel like it should be noted, Detective Potter, seeing our bodies down there fighting furiously, that I've never taken a lesson in martial arts in my life.
Detective Riley, I'm more of a boxer. I have never taken martial arts either, and we are kicking ass down there.
Yes, we are. But we're up here now. Let's focus on that.
Let's focus on that. And, Detective Riley, can you stop eating the marshmallow pillow you're sitting on? Okay, it seems like there's plenty up here. Carry on.
Every time I take a bite, the marshmallow seems to
grow back?
Correct. Up here, we have limitless options for the amount of candies we can consume. I'm not going to waste them.
Okay. I agree with you, Detective Riley. If you can eat your fill up here, maybe that will fill your corporeal body down there.
Doubtful.
Which, by the way, looks like they've defeated all the shadow monsters and are trudging out into the desert.
Part of me wishes I could have experienced that ass kicking, but then another part of me is saying that if we weren't up here on this kingdom of clouds, we wouldn't have ever escaped those shadow monsters.
I agree, Detective Riley. Hey, while we're in this sort of in-between, this sort of limbo state, do you think it'd be a good idea to maybe think about the case?
This is the first time I've had a chance to think, breathe at all. I think this is the time we need to sort out what the hell is going on in this case, Detective Potter.
I don't blame you, Detective Riley, for not having time to breathe, because this case has been absolutely bananas from the get-go.
I mean, there are moments where you've almost destroyed my ability to breathe with your hands, with a knife, with a walkie-talkie.
I've almost forgot about the walkie-talkie part. Over?
I figure we were just keeping an open line of communication. We can see each other, so I don't know if there's any reason to say over.
As the Bureau Boys briefly break eye contact, they look around their environment and notice clues from the case floating around them. Detective Riley, look, it's the matchbox we got from Tehed. Remember Tehed?
I do remember Tehed, the Harvey Weinstein follower from Man's Chinese Theater.
Yeah.
There's the matchbox. Oh, and look at that. The knife we found, well, that we were given from Gwendolyn, floating over there with the blonde hair.
And look, there's Gwendolyn's spirit floating up into heaven. I guess she didn't make it out of the acid.
Well, she was a witch, so she got what she deserved.
Since she's a witch, this could also just be a trick, Detective Riley.
You're right. Let's not interact with her astral projection.
Good idea, Detective Riley. She's driving that abandoned car. Just like at the end of the movie Grease, where they drove that convertible up into heaven. Oh, never mind. You don't really know movies.
She was looking for love. Maybe she finally found it. Not in a man, but in a car.
Sitting next to her is that... Remember that marionette with the slashed throat?
Yes. And the note, I should say. The one written on a moth-shaped piece of paper.
And almost a moth-sized piece of paper.
Indeed. Oh, and also the tire that was never slashed. The one full tire, also floating over there in the distance, next to the chocolate lava storm.
Detective Riley, I think we have to take stock of the fact that we met someone who purported to be Master Timothy Marionette. And if he is actually alive and well, we suddenly don't have a missing person. Well, we don't have a murder, at least. And if we found him, he's not missing, right?
That seems to be my read on the situation. It's tough to know. The Timothy Marionette that claimed to be Timothy Marionette sped off in the same vehicle that seemed to belong to Timothy Marionette, in the same vehicle that the marionette with its throat slashed was found, and the notes were found.
Detective
So it
Riley,
seemed odd.
I hate to correct you on this, but he stole our car.
Detective Potter, I'd like to remind you that I am the God King here.
Okay.
But your opinion has been noted.
Okay.
And after giving it some thought, I find that you are correct, and I will not punish you as my servant.
Thank you.
Boy.
Can you let go of my throat?
Of course, because I had no intention of actually choking you. It was just a show of force to let you know that I could in a moment's notice.
Did you realize, though, that your fingers went right through my throat and just gripped themselves? It's like we can't make contact, except for holding hands on the way up here. Only good contact is allowed up here.
And thank goodness, because it was getting pretty squirrely down there.
It was.
And those dark forces, wherever they came from, whatever they were conspiring to get us off this case once and for all. And maybe all cases for all of time.
That could be, Detective Riley. But fortunately, we apparently know Kung Fu. You know, Detective Riley, when those dark forces first started to close in, I thought maybe they were coming for Gwendolyn. But now I think that they had malice in their eyes and their hearts and their souls. And I think you're right, they were coming for us.
The question is, what do all these clues tell us about Master Timothy Marionette and what's happening on this case? What was really going on that set of The Dark Crystal?
And who slashed our tires? Who slashed his tires? Who slashed that marionette's throat? Was that Master Timothy Marionette?
It's theory time, Detective Potter.
I love theory time.
Pull out your theory hat, put it on.
Okay. Detective Potter turns to his right and picks up an inflatable dinosaur. He puts it on his head. Detective Riley, you should put on your theory hat as well.
So Detective Riley reaches in his back pocket and pulls out a rubber ducky and puts that on his head.
Detective Riley, do you think we spent too much time at this Jack in the Box?
Detective Potter, there was so much to see. There's all of Hollywood. There were so many movie sets. There was so many actors and directors that we could be interviewing. But the clues took us here.
True, and the case wants what the case wants. I personally wanted to see the Hollywood sign. As Detective Potter says that, we cut to the Bureau Boys' corporeal bodies, which are now miles away, walking beneath the Hollywood sign. They stop to take a selfie. 3, 2, 1. No, what?
What?
I am free. We cut back to the Bureau Boys' spirit world.
So our bodies know Kung Fu, but because our intelligence is up here, we are dumb as rocks down there.
You know what they say, Detective Riley? Our bodies are just meat, and meat is how you learn how to fight. You saw Rocky, right, where he's punching that side of beef? Are you...
I'm sorry, you just mentioned the meat, and I just got so hungry. of a sudden I gotta eat some more of this marshmallow.
Okay, Detective Riley. Detective Riley, can we talk about the fact that time is very odd in this world?
Yes, that's the last piece that we did have to talk about. We still have to theorize that we're still in theory. We're still in theory time.
Oh, that's the last piece?
That we had to discuss when it came to our case.
Okay.
The time aspect. So, what the heck, you know?
Time freezes at 4:20, 30? 4:30, right? Time freezes at 4:30?
4:30, time freezes. 4:30 has to be a relevant time to this case. How? We don't know yet. My thinking, it has to do with Timothy Marionette. It has to do with the Dark Crystal, and it has to do with his disappearance.
Do you think, Detective Riley, that Timothy Marionette, do you remember when Gwendolyn was telling us that he cut all of the strings from her marionettes and he said he was going to make them into Muppets? Do you think Timothy Marionette wanted to freeze time around himself to make Muppets more relevant in this time and age?
Because he had to know. The whole Muppet thing, that wasn't gonna last.
No.
There's no way kids in the 90s and 2000s cared that much about Muppets as the shithead kids in the 80s did.
They
right?
keep rebooting the Muppets every time. They keep trying a new Muppet thing, a new Muppet this, a new Muppet that. It's just not the innocent time when Muppets ruled the world, when the Muppets took Manhattan.
Wait a minute. Maybe that was it, Detective Potter. Maybe he wanted to take the Muppets beyond the silver screen into the real world to create an army of Muppet soldiers.
Oh my God. Detective Riley, now that I'm thinking about it, did you notice that every single one of those shadow creatures back down on Earth, on what you call Earth, all had what appeared to be a shadow arm up their shadow rear ends?
It was hard to make out because all those arms were dressed in black for the stage.
Yes, yes. And the Muppets themselves, when those legs are just hanging down, it's hard to see where the Muppet begins and where the arm ends.
It would seem that, in a way, all the world is a stage, and those Muppets were just actors.
Detective Riley, what are you saying? Are you saying that the Muppets are sentient beings?
I think Timothy Marionette possesses powerful magic, perhaps so powerful that it has corrupted him to the core. And he has given Muppets their own arm up their own asses to control themselves.
So it's almost like how you have this position of power over me. Suddenly an inferior Muppet has a position of power over a much superior human arm?
It would seem so. We're going to go with that theory for now.
Detective Riley, now that I'm thinking about the knife that Gwendolyn gave us, do you remember it had one long blonde hair on it that we thought might be Timothy Marionette's hair? He did have long blonde hair, but you know what else has long blonde hair? A lot of Muppets, Detective Riley. You know?
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Detective Potter has laid down some licorice train tracks.
True. Am I right, Detective Potter?
Detective Riley, when you talk like that while you're eating, you remind me of that giant Ted that we met all that time ago.
Yeah, I hope that stupid giant's doing well.
He helped us, Detective Riley. Detective Riley, now that I'm thinking more about this, and saying the name Ted, which is very much like Ted. Remember how Ted was telling us that there was this new Muppet director working on the Dark Crystal? Do you think that could be involved with... I'm just going to say it. I think that could be involved with this plan by Timothy Marionette. I'm just saying maybe he thought he should have gotten that promotion to the head Muppeteer, and maybe he was raising this dark army to take over. And think about this, Detective Riley. Gwendolyn told us that Timothy cut all of the marionette strings because he didn't want those Muppets to be supported. Almost like he wanted those Muppets to support themselves. Right? Am I crazy here? Detective Potter said while wearing his inflatable dinosaur hat.
Detective Riley considered his question for a moment. Was he crazy? Was he himself crazy? Detective Riley took a squeak of his rubber ducky to remind himself, hey, you're still here. You're still okay. Detective Potter, that is one hell of a theory. And damn it if I can't find any flaws in it whatsoever.
Detective...
I think you're right. Hold on. Shut up for a second, servant boy.
I'm so sorry, sir.
I think you're right. Timothy Marionette was scorned on the set of The Dark Crystal, and using the magic powers taught to him by Gwendolyn Benefiff, started raising a Muppet army and has been experimenting with time travel here in the desert around this Jack-in-the-Box so that one day, when the time was right, he would raise his army of Muppets and wreak revenge on Hollywood and perhaps the world.
Detective Riley, the way you said that just made me think of yet another layer to this. Remember how we kept jumping backwards in time?
Yes.
If Timothy Marionette could go back in time to before the time that other guy was promoted to Master Muppeteer, he might have been able to stop it with his unstoppable Muppet army. You know what they say, Detective Riley? Sometimes the simplest explanation is the correct one.
Oh, yes, of course. Occam's laser.
Detective Riley, I think we have to track down Ted to find more information out about this relationship between Timothy Marionette, because I'm just punting on Timothy Marionette at this point because we don't even know if that was Timothy Marionette. And I think, Detective Riley, we have to get back down to earth if we're going to be able to track down any of these clues.
As Detective Potter says this, they peer down and see their corporeal forms walking the streets of Hollywood, hamming it up with the street performers, the showgirls, and the tourists alike.
The Bureau Boys' corporeal forms are much more popular than the actual Bureau Boys. They've already been invited to a big Hollywood party at the Playboy Mansion.
But as the Bureau Boys' bodies continue strolling the streets, waving at the passerbys, shooting finger guns, a street cretin with one of those tools used to find pieces of metal in the ground.
You talking about a metal detector?
That's the one. Thanks, narrator.
No problem. That's a tough one to come up with. What's that thing that detects metal?
As the metal detector sweeps the streets and waves across the bodies of the Bureau Boys, the spirit astral forms of the Bureau Boys sitting atop the candy cloud feel a pull, a jarring shake, a crash. Things are not right anymore in their peaceful place.
Detective Riley,
going on.
that guy.
I feel like we're being.
Yeah, look at that guy down there with the thing that you use to scan for metal.
Yes, of course, a metal detector, idiot.
Oh yeah. So that guy down there, he's dressed like a Ghostbuster, and he's waving around that metal detector. It almost looks like he's got some sort of Ghostbuster cosplay.
I feel pulled back to our bodies, back to Earth. I'm sinking. We're sinking deeper into this cloud.
Oh, no.
The mushroom, the mushrooms seem to be waning. The marshmallows, they're melting. The candy canes dripping.
The world seems to be falling apart around us, Detective Riley. If I wasn't so serene right before this, I feel like I'd be freaking out way more.
The Bureau boys take a sharp drop. Their bodies flying back to Earth in free fall.
Will the Bureau Boys' spirit forms rejoin their corporeal forms?
Will the Bureau boys be able to crack the case with the new information they discovered while sitting on a candy cloud?
Was it even new information, or is this just a recap episode?
Find out next week when we continue the case of the missing Master Muppeteer.
If you enjoyed this episode, help the Bureau Boys solve this case by submitting your clue at thebureauboys.com. They may use it on a future episode.
While you're there, why not join their informant network and tell all your friends and family to join too? But don't tell the criminals, because the Bureau Boys are coming for them.